let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. I'll take you to a place we can see it all. Step off the edge, I can break your fall. Your will is my law. I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. When you fall down, I'll get you back up again. The things you try are things that you won't regret. We are kings of the world, and tonight is our playground. We are kings of the world, and anywhere is homebound. We are kings of the world, and tonight is our playground. We are kings of the world, and anywhere is homebound. We are kings of the world. Follow me away, 'cause we can't stay here. Let yourself go, you got nothing to fear. You'll never be alone, let the highway be your home, 'cause I'll go where you go. When you fall down, I'll get you back up again. The things you try are things that you won't regret. We are kings of the world, and tonight is our playground. We are kings of the world, and anywhere is homebound. We are kings of the world, and tonight is our playground. We are kings of the world, and anywhere is homebound. We are kings of the world.
I'm sick of lying here all alone and nearly sleepless at night. I'm honest, it's boring. 1,000,000 demons surrounding me, picking a fight. It's toxic. You were the best I ever had, but every second you were screwing me over, and now I'm done with it. I guess that there was no surprise. Deleting you out of my mind. Isn't it iconic?
Those having a welcome back to our. I want to say a number of thousand lives in the dollar isn't true. It's our sorting lives in I don't know what I want to say. Dat is als het weer gaan. Dat als het is weer gaan. Yeah, okay. Today we are going to watch 2 hours of the soorten dagelijkse horrorstories animated. These animated animated by Dr. Mosley. I have not heard of him, but I also don't really check the nice other channels that make horror stories, so I personally don't, I never heard of him. He has apparently, I saw that he has apparently 100,000 subscribers a long time. So at the end of the livestream, when this comes out as a video, I will use the link to the original video of him that you can see that, so that you can support him and not only me. But yeah, we're going to start right now. I'm not going to talk any longer because it's going to take 2 hours. 2 damn hours is going to do. If I'm going to talk as soon as it's going to take us 2.5 hours, I guess. But yeah, Dr. Mosley, that shit that he has and practice with us, yeah.
Dr. Nicely.
I stared at my bright computer screen. My eyes felt
Oh yeah,
heavy.
wait, 1 second. If you don't know what the dark web is, it's the internet that then the crazy can't come on. But if you know what I mean, I think you know what I mean. Let me turn off the news a little bit, but yeah. But if you don't know what dark web is, that's the place that you, I think it's really almost impossible to come on. So you need to be or a hacker or you need some connections, but yeah. It's really hard, and I really recommend going on there. Yeah, I really recommend it, but that's what I do. Let's get
And
started.
my fingers trembled nervously with each key press. We'd already been awake for more than 5 days, during which time 28 players had died. How do I
Okay.
die? Lewis typed into the chat. I'm not so sure you will. There's only the 2 of us left. I can't keep this up much longer. The game had seemed so simple. A competition to see who could stay awake. the
5 days
longest,
ago.
and the winner would receive enough money to last a lifetime.
Because I want to play again. Unless money to a lifetime, let me play again.
For someone like myself, without a social life nor a job to attend, it was the perfect opportunity. 30 players had received an invitation, all active participants of an international dark web forum. We were just required to fill in some necessary information, including a Bitcoin wallet to where the money would be sent.
Wait. Why do I not trust them? Because sure,
After
I
clicking
guess.
submit, I was given a time and a list of simple rules to follow. Number 1, both your web camera and microphone must be activated for the entire duration of the competition.
Wait.
Number 2, there
Why?
won't be any bathroom breaks. Plan accordingly. Number 3, you're not allowed to seek out the physical location of the other contestants. Number 4, there can
Why would
only
you wanna
be
do that?
one winner. As I eagerly awaited for the first bit of excitement I'd seen in months,
No, that literally actually, I want to stream one. I'm gonna get my birthday. My birthday is on 18 May. Later, I'm going to do a 24-hour live stream. That would be pretty interesting. But if you want to see that, let me down in the comments right now because I kind of want to do a 24-hour live stream with my birthday. So,
unnecessary supplies, mostly energy drinks, snacks, and a bucket. Once the time of the competition
to see.
started, I clicked the provided link. I was faced with a blank screen consisting of 30 names and a chat box.
Okay.
I could gain access to each of the competitors' camera feeds by
Oh,
clicking on
that's-
their username, but the
that's
chat
really-
itself was global. I guess no one here speaks English, Insomnia90 said. A few of the participants responded with broken sentences.
I don't
It
know
seemed
speak
that
in
out of the 30
wait, what?
members of the chat,
I don't
only
know
myself
speak good
and
English.
Insomnia 9 were native speakers. 2 days went by in the blink of an eye, and 7 players had already left the game in silence. I
Wait.
spent most of my time
Wait. You just need to wait. I'm confused. What's going on? What do you need to do? You just need to write shit. So,
watching
okay.
movies and chatting to Insomnia 90, who I'd come to know as Lewis. He was a Canadian
Okay.
university student
And only 7 people are that in 2 days. That's not a
on
lot.
break, bored out of his mind. Hey, check out the German guy. He's about to pass out, Lewis said. I clicked on his username.
That's
They would be
sad.
the first participant we'd actually see falling asleep. His eyes were already half closed, and his body shifted towards the edge of his chair. We chuckled at the guy as we got one step closer to victory. Not long after, his consciousness wandered off the edge, and he fell into a deep pit of sleep. Only a second passed before his eyes shot back open in a horrified panic, as he clutched his ears and screamed in agony. His body started twitching uncontrollably in all the wrong directions, and blood poured from his nose and ears. It looked as if his brain had been scrambled to pieces inside his
The
own head.
hell?
Within a minute, he fell over, dead, his face softly resting on the keyboard. "What the f*** was that?" I asked. "Is he dead?" Lewis replied.
The
I
hell?
frantically started clicking on every other username, checking if anyone else was about to fall asleep. "Check the Swedish one," I said. Sure enough, he drifted off no more than a minute earlier. Suddenly, his eyes shot open, and he seized just
hell?
like the German had before him. Another minute, and
Yeah, you don't know what I said in the beginning. I want to say again. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to play that game anymore. No, thank you. I don't want to play that game anymore.
he just added to the rapidly growing pile of corpses.
Jesus
We warned the
Christ.
others as best we could. Only a few of them seemed to get the message, each getting out from their chairs in an attempt at fleeing. Alas, no sooner had they decided to run before they dropped
What the
dead
hell
on
is
the floor.
going on?
Oh God, we're gonna die, aren't we? Lewis
Yeah.
said. I guess only the winner survives. I typed
What
back.
the hell are you
Days
playing?
passed. During that time, we made numerous attempts at contacting the outside world. Phone calls, emails, messages. They were all blocked.
Yeah.
Lewis and I were the only players left,
What the hell?
keeping each other awake as we searched in despair for a way out. I already
Yeah,
ran
what
out of
the hell?
supplies, so if sleep deprivation didn't get me, dehydration would. Then I noticed that Lewis hadn't spoken in a few minutes. "Lewis, no, wake the f*** up." I called out to no
Oh
avail.
no.
He had already died. As he left the game, I was declared the winner. 29 people had died, and I was gifted an unfathomable amount of cash. Since then, I've been searching for Lewis's family. Even if they weren't close, I want them to know
Yeah.
that he was a good person up until the end. I'm so sorry. I wish it had been me.
Don't know about that. As I wish it would be me, but yeah. That's so dark. And how did it even get to that website? That's what I'm wondering. Because I'm not going to play that. Absolutely not. Let's see it. Okay.
I've always had a morbid sense of curiosity. And while
Okay.
that's not a fact I'm particularly proud of, I've always just jotted it down to teenage curiosity. To be honest, it probably started back in middle school when people thought it was fun to send around horrible videos of executions and bizarre porn fetish.
Gewoon nee, dat someone clicking inside so I don't know about that one.
To each other on the MSN messaging site. Just mentioning
That's
it makes me
it is
feel
fine.
old. These days, there's an overabundance of these sites. Places to
Yeah.
watch people die, blurry
Yeah,
videos of
what
car
the fuck?
crashes, beheadings, and animal abuse. Of
What
course,
the
it's not
fuck?
something I actively seek out, but
Yes,
when I
sure.
stumble across
Well.
it, I feel compelled to just watch, to prove
Really? Really? And this, if I was him, and I randomly come on a last like that would be really strange as I'm ranking a last like that. But if I saw a video like that, no, go on, go away, go away.
to
Not gonna
myself
do that.
nothing can affect me.
Mm,
Though, for the truly gruesome stuff, one needs to visit the so-called dark web. As a guy who was
No
falling
time
far
to.
behind in the advancement of technology, it absolutely baffled my mind that only a tiny fragment of the internet is available through a Google search.
That's
The
true.
rest,
That's
which
true.
makes up approximately 99.9%, is hidden and requires a special browser for access. With the help of a handy-dandy YouTube tutorial, I quickly downloaded the Tor browser.
No way. Is that really easy? Is that really that easy? I'm not gonna try it, but come on. Don't you think that is that
And
easy?
went on my way to search for the hidden aspects of the internet, as one naturally does. It couldn't have taken more than half an hour of clicking on shared onion links before I stumbled across something that quenched my thirst for the obscene
fuck?
forever. The
Yeah.
website itself was rather plain, just a black background with a video player in its center
What the
and a
hell?
chat box beneath. Within a few seconds of entering the website, the video itself had loaded and automatically started playing. What was depicted before me was a scrawny-looking man in his early 20s, strapped to a chair and covered in wounds. In the upper left corner of the video, a timer ran, counting up each second. 24 minutes and 14 seconds. Please stop, please.
Okay.
It was an accident, I swear, he yelled.
What?
A larger man entered the picture, a large needle in his hand connected to an empty syringe. Without
Oh,
speaking
no.
a word, he stuck the
What?
needle as far as it could go, into the victim's abdomen. He let out a loud scream as the man
What?
removed the needle and plunged it back in. After a few stabs, the man grabbed a hammer and hit the victim straight in his jaw, shattering his mandible, leaving him unable to form any coherent speech. He let out a gargled whimper before passing out.
What
I
the
tried to follow
hell?
the video, sure it had to be fake. But that's when I realized that it wasn't pre-recorded footage, but a live stream. 26 minutes and 12 seconds were the words that lit up the screen. The chat beneath
It's
the
his
video went
eyes.
wild, calling out the victim as a pathetic excuse of a human being, demanding the man to continue the torture.
What? What? What?
A few seconds passed, and the chat was replaced by a voting form containing only two options: life or death. The votes were
Live.
quickly counting, the bar for death rising rapidly. As much as I could stomach, I wouldn't be part of an act of murder, so I quickly voted for life. In the end, the results were displayed on the screen. Out of 200 people, the results were 95% for death, 4% for life, 1% did not vote. 10 people had tried to save the poor kid, but it wasn't enough. Without further warning, the man grabbed a hammer and started repeatedly hitting him, starting from the legs and working his way up until
What the
all that
hell?
remained was a bloody pile of broken flesh. I sat speechless, staring helplessly at the screen as I noticed that my camera light had lit up.
Oh,
The video player
shit.
vanished, and in its place, 10 smaller boxes popped
The classic kid on life. Oh no. Oh no.
up, all displaying people from various places around the
And you. That's you, right? That's him, right?
world, all being unknowingly filmed by their own webcams. To my absolute horror, one of the boxes showed my bedroom
Ew.
and myself wearing a terrified expression. It quickly dawned on me that these were the people who voted to save the poor kid.
I know there's another option. I know it for sure. I know there's going to be an option to choose one of them to die, right?
Who will be next?
Yeah,
A
I
message
thought
said
so.
as the
Suck.
timer counted down towards 0. A few boxes turned black, to which the chat responded with laughter, a hopeless attempt at escape. 3, 2, 1. 9 of the 10 pictures disappeared from the screen, including my own, leaving the screen occupied by
Exactly.
a middle-aged Asian man frozen in fear. We'll see you soon. Good luck. I let out a sigh of both relief and panic. I had escaped unharmed.
Yo. Got to shut all this at that side. Come on, dude. Cut the hell out of
Not
there.
everyone was that lucky. Of course, I called the police, but by the time they could even look into it, the link had long since expired.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I could have done, but it taught me not to look too deep into the depths of the dark web.
I look just lose.
I'm
I'm not
lucky to
gonna.
still be alive, and it's safe
Yeah.
to say that I've stuck to YouTube videos and Reddit ever since.
That's a nice. What the hell? That guy was lucky as hell. That he wasn't chosen. He was lucky as hell. So legit. Okay. Sure.
When I say drugs are fantastic, I'm not talking about the designer substances you find in a dark alley. No, I mean the fantastic medications invented to cure anything from infections to psychological problems. The only problem is the excessive restriction on legal drugs. The amount of research, work, and potential that gets lost with each denial from the FDA. Just because something doesn't work exactly as intended doesn't mean it's useless. I say this as a person who's always had trouble sleeping, not in the sense that I can't fall asleep, but rather that I need a whole 11 hours just to feel barely rested. A fact that absolutely does not fly in my...
Yeah, I also don't see. I also see. I'm lonely, but I'm not going to use drugs. What the hell? I don't need drugs to fall asleep earlier because I'm always awake at 9 p.m. At 9 a.m.
Yeah,
So,
After trying conventional drugs that were aimed at
The
people with
hell?
narcolepsy, none proved to be an adequate solution. I had no choice but to turn to the illegal...
I had no choice. You always have a choice. That's the same thing in life. Like you say, you don't have a choice. In 99%, you have always a
legal
choice.
side of things. Think about all the drugs that never reach the shelves at your local pharmacy due to failing to get FDA approval.
Okay.
It's not like their recipes and research just get thrown out. No, there's a whole market for them buried in the depths of the dark web. Available to anyone who knows where to
Look
look.
what I'm system. Go to class. If you need to go to class, it's no
Of course,
problem.
it has its risks, and
that's a
it
good
isn't
luck.
something I'd recommend for your average Joe. I, however, was desperate. Months passed, and I tried numerous different substances, some which helped a little, while others just made it worse. In the end, I landed on a product simply called Nox.
Okay.
Using a P.O. box, the medication arrived within a week. To my surprise, rather than finding a bottle filled with colorful pills, I had just received the one, wrapped in a high-quality, expensive-looking package. Based on
What
the
the
forum I
hell?
found it on, no one had experienced any adverse effects, so I stupidly ingested it with little hesitation, impatiently awaiting its results. On any given day, I'd be tired around 11, but with the pill making its way through my digestive tract, I realized that midnight had come and gone, leaving me wide awake. Morning came, and yet I...
That's so stupid. Please, never do this. Whoever is watching right now, other people that are going to watch this, don't do this.
didn't need any sleep. It was great. I got all my work done at a record pace and still had plenty of leftover leisure time. It caused some jealousy at the office, but considering my competitive nature, it didn't bother me in the slightest. Days turned to weeks, then weeks turned to months, and
Okay.
I had successfully eluded the need to sleep. By all logical aspects of biology, my brain should have deteriorated, driving me to the brink of madness.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, isn't that... is it dangerous? I don't know if it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous. You need to see it. You need
But
it.
even a year after ingesting the pill, I remained sharp as ever. The only thing
Yeah,
I
yeah,
noticed
yeah.
was my skin seeming thinner, paler, as if I had fallen slightly ill. I initially felt
Yeah.
suspicious of the pill, but my tired-looking facade could just as easily be explained by the excessive amount of work. It wasn't as if I could stop taking the pills anyway, seeing as I'd only taken the one. That's when I noticed the first sore. It looked like an ulcer, a bed sore, but it was situated on my stomach just below the navel. It didn't hurt or anything, so I just put some cream on and waited, but it kept growing.
The
During the next week,
the hell is
patches of
that?
skin started falling off, revealing the
Okay. You know what to do. Go to see it. Stop taking those pills. Go to see it.
fat and muscle beneath. It didn't particularly hurt, but it was growing day by day and it horrified me. I quickly tried to find the site I'd purchased it from, but in the ocean of hidden onions that is the dark web, it had simply vanished, and the link had expired. As far as I could tell, no one, not even the FDA, had ever heard about a pill called Nox. Over the next few weeks, my physical state deteriorated, and the doctors were baffled. Yet I remained completely lucid. Even
Yo, what
sedation
the
or
hell?
procedures had no effect on me. Eventually, after months of my skin melting off, my heart nearly stopped. Yet I couldn't fall unconscious. As I type this, my body is rotting away, and I'm gradually losing function of my arms and legs, and my vision is fading. The only thing remaining is my mind, as wide awake as ever. Once I'm done here, I'm putting a bullet in my brain, but I'm worried that even then I'll have some sliver of consciousness to keep me awake as they put me in the ground, where I'll lay in darkness forever.
What the hell was that? Okay. That's what I said. I don't like around doing that. Just don't do that. But if you do that, don't do. How can you say this? Don't do drugs that isn't legal, I guess. Or that look as a person. Do something that actually as a person. Actually, or something.
Ever since its invention,
just don't
I've
do that.
dreamed of
Don't.
getting my hands on some Vanta Black liquid.
Okay.
Imagine a substance so dark it can obscure any three-dimensional shape and turn it into a mere shadow. I just never thought something so harmless and fun could cause my demise. While it's available for purchase under certain circumstances, it's not something just anyone can buy.
Okay.
Of course, if you know where to look on the dark web, you can get anything you want. To be fair, of all the horrible things found on the dark web, Vanta Black liquid is among the less sinister options. After just
Okay.
a few clicks, I found a vial of paint available for a cheap price. Even if the paint turned
But what was it? Because I didn't understand that.
out to be fake, it
Sure.
wouldn't be much of a loss. With little thought, I purchased one vial and eagerly awaited its arrival. The inconspicuous package arrived a couple
I hear something, and it's kind of strange, and I don't know if it's in the video, or sorry, I think in the video, but
days
it kind of
ago.
freaked me
It
out.
was a cube-shaped vial full of the light-absorbing liquid. If not for the feel it had in my hand, I never could have guessed it was a solid object. I was ecstatic.
So, what is that?
After a
I
thorough
thought-
inspection,
Okay.
I noticed a minuscule crack in the vial. A drop of liquid
Oh, yeah.
seeped out through the hole and fell gently onto the doormat below. What looked like a hole into an infinite void formed on the mat. I bent down to remove it with a dirty cloth.
Don't touch it.
As I started rubbing the spilled paint, I could have sworn my fingers slipped deeper into the stain. I immediately retracted my hand, certain I must have been mistaken. After the initial shock wore off,
Dat is een licht zaksteel.
I dipped the cloth back into the stain, and
What
it
the
just
hell?
sank through. After several attempts at poking the stain, I lifted the doormat up to check if the hole continued into the floor.
Wat de...
To my surprise,
Oké, dit is kleine licht.
it was clean. At that point, I was more curious than afraid.
Als...
Baffled
Really?
by the impossible
Okay.
spot, I could do little more than
Put it on your hand.
stare in
Just
awe
kidding.
at the thing.
Don't.
Then I came to the horrifying
Oh.
realization that the hole
Kan
was
ik zeggen.
grown. I grabbed a few plastic bags and chucked the doormat in.
Wanneer die kaas vingers in het. Dat is wel really... It's kind of... Digger, I guess. I don't know.
Making sure to double wrap and seal. I thought the
Okay.
situation was under control, that I'd contained the ever-growing void. Alas, one of the Vantablack
I was kidding. I was zo klein.
drops had hit my hand. Without hesitation, I rushed to scrub my hands, praying that it
Okay.
wasn't too late. Unfortunately, no matter what kind of soap I applied, the stain wouldn't
no.
budge.
Oh
By
no.
the time I'd given up, it had already grown to the size of a marble. In
Jesus.
absolute panic, I rushed to the doctor. Despite his initial doubt at my situation, he quickly came around once he saw the bizarre spot on my hand. He prodded me with needles and various probes, futilely attempting to get samples for the lab. All the while, it kept growing.
Can't you? What happens if you cut that off? Because it's just a little dot, so what if you cut it off? Just that little? I don't know.
Before long, it had consumed my entire right hand. Though
Okay.
it was still visible as a
Okay.
silhouette, I had long since lost any use of it, leaving it as little more than a limp appendage. Days went by, and the darkness
Yo. If you can't use it, just cut it off, doctor. Cut it off. I can't use it anyway. Just cut it off.
grew up my arm. In a last-ditch attempt at saving my life, the doctors all agreed that amputation would be the only
I was
feasible
right. I
solution.
was right.
It was a devastating loss, but worth
This
it
is
to
us.
save my life. I signed all the necessary papers.
Yeah, standing my life away. Okay, yeah. Take my lungs, take my life, yeah. Take my penis. I'm right, my penis, right?
using my one remaining hand, and they rushed me into an operating
It
room.
was the right
While
hand. Why was
surgery
it the
only
right
lasted a
hand?
few hours, rehabilitation would take weeks, if not months. The doctors entered my room as I awoke from the anesthesia. Though the surgery had been a clear success,
Okay.
they didn't seem happy. What's wrong?
It's still in your body, right?
I asked with a groggy voice. I'm sorry, was all he could say.
Oh no.
The drugs had already started to wear off, and I could feel pins and needles all over my body.
What?
I lifted up my shirt and screamed at the horrific
What?
sight. My
How?
entire torso was covered
How?
in hundreds and hundreds of tiny holes. It looked as if chunks of flesh had been removed, replaced
How?
only by that god-forsaken Vantablack paint. We think the substance has spread through your bloodstream. There's nothing more we can do, the doctor said. That was 3 days ago.
Jesus.
Since then, I've lost my legs, my arms, and most of my
Your
internal
penis.
organs. I haven't felt my heartbeat since yesterday, and I can hardly breathe. What
Oh, you're still
terrifies me
alive.
even more than the liquid replacing my entire body is the fact that I haven't died yet.
Yeah,
Whatever the
so
case,
crazy.
I've
Oh,
been
yeah, huh?
isolated. The doctors put me in a special chamber to prevent the further spread of the liquid.
But isn't it alright on the hospital that as a
I
thing?
guess it's for the best. I'll be completely replaced by Vantablack soon. I just hope it kills me first. When people
Jesus.
want
Deep
digital
fake.
footprints to be scoured away clean and then replaced by other preferable images, that's when
Okay.
I get the call. I was once hired by an oil sheik to replace several
Oil sheik.
faces on an embassy security feed to hide their involvement in the assassination of a journalist. Remember the 2 women who contaminated and killed the North Korean madman's half-brother in the airport?
Nope.
Those women were originally a pair of North Korean goons, but I removed them and set up that pair of lady stooges to take the fall. My ethics
Jesus.
are porous, and my greed is insatiable. In October of last year, I was hired to deepfake some footage. A Black Ops team had infiltrated a top-secret lab in China and stolen some highly virulent bioweapon. The lab itself wasn't the problem. The team consisted of professional ghosts, entering
Okay.
and exiting like invisible ninjas, not a trace left behind in the lab's hardwired net. But then, the team leader did something so stupid, so outside
He took off his mask. Let me guess. He took off his
his
mask.
mission scope that I was brought in for damage control before any possible leaks caused a tsunami
akan.
of geopolitical fallout.
What happened?
He met in Shanghai the following
Okay, I don't know. But that's his so it says.
day
That's
at
the only
the
logical
Ritz-Carlton
thing.
with somebody well known in the world of presidential politics. This figure, traveling under the name Randall Mariani, is a former NYC mayor who now pursues shadow diplomacy for the current administration. Anyway, this guy was caught on security cameras in the lobby exchanging envelopes with the leader of the infiltration team. I was hired that night by a
Okay.
shell company operating out of the Cayman Islands that goes by the name of DeluxeDeepFake.com. They wanted every piece of digital evidence tying these 2 people together to be deepfaked, replacing the former NYC mayor with the son of the president's political opponent in the upcoming election. It left a bad taste in my mouth, but the
Yeah.
money being thrown at me was enough to buy mouthwash in industrial-sized drums. However, that money never came through, because the moment I finished my deepfake, my computer suddenly fried. From motherboard to
That seems a little suspicious. No, okay.
monitor dead. Then the power to my house was cut. Then the guys in black, those same invisible ninjas that hit the Chinese lab, came busting through my windows. I'm alive because I work in a basement with an escape hatch. I
Okay.
snuck away. Now I live
That they are ghosts. So that means you shouldn't hear them. How did you hear them?
day by day, constantly looking over my shoulder.
Okay.
Coronavirus is spreading throughout the world. Someday, I'll get back online and reverse my deep fake. The world needs to know.
The hell? Okay. This is one of the strangest one of them all. To
I'm
him,
not going to
story
lie
6.
and claim I'm a perfect person.
Okay. This animation style is really weird, and I don't know if I like it.
Hell, I'm probably not even a decent one. I used to party all the time, got involved in casual drug use, and obscene amounts of alcohol. It's not something I can take
Everyone
away
has to
proud of,
use drugs.
but with no family and few friends left to worry about me, I figured why not. I didn't have any plans past high school, so I might as well just enjoy the little time I'd been given on this planet.
Oh
However,
my god, what
with
the
the
hell?
illegality surrounding drugs, it means there is some risk getting a hold of it.
Okay.
Usually one has to get involved with sketchy people in strange places. Most of the time, the product is good. After all, the dealers need to keep their customers alive. Still, just getting caught
okay.
or buying fake stuff was a risk I didn't bother dealing with. Thus, I eventually turned to the dark web. Imagine that. A place online where you can buy the best quality drugs with
Yeah, because they care if you don't die. If you actually got drugs that I don't recommend, why would you buy it from a deep like they want asking while you're there?
just a couple of clicks, and they send it directly to your address in a discreet package.
Yes, yeah.
It tends to be pretty safe, and people even rate the various pills, full on with forums to describe each individual
Good to say it.
experience. As time progressed, a few of the .onion sites would begin to vanish off the face of the internet. Maybe the dealers quit, or maybe the FBI shut them down. No one really knows.
Only they change the link of the website because so they can get caught. So that would be logical.
So without a steady supplier, I had to venture deeper into the dark web in search of a new place to hand me my weekly fix. I looked around on a few forums,
People,
but most of
why?
the posts were old,
Why?
and a surprisingly large amount of the sites had been taken down.
Okay.
Of those that still remained up, most sold dubious, weak drugs. Eventually, my search landed me with a new recommendation. It was a place I'd never even heard about,
That's a
but
strange
the
moment.
product was fairly cheap. As if that wasn't good enough on its own,
See, yo, like like something clear. When you got a tattoo, you want, you can see it. When you want a tattoo, you want it to do a little bit of expenses because when you, it's a thing a video that I have made a few weeks ago. Silk and really expensive tattoos. You want to go to the secret ones because they know what they're doing. And with the secret ones, they don't always know what they're doing. So, this is going to be a horrible mistake on his part.
their site seemed exceptionally professional. It might sound stupid, but if a site presents itself with a good-looking design, there's a bigger likelihood that people blindly trust them.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I never claimed to be smart.
I do.
Yes, I was one of those gullible people, and it damn near cost me my life.
Start
The
listening
website
to
I
this.
found didn't even have a name. It just displayed a logo that consisted of a pill in the center of a bullseye.
Okay.
It only contained a single product, but it alone had hundreds of top-rated reviews, all praising it in various different languages. It didn't seem staged, and I truly believe they had been written by different people.
Yo,
With that-
I had that long time. I went to the website because I was looking for a clear size. I wanted to quit all that clear size. It was, long was it? I would say 14. It was a 14, yeah, 14, so it was size when they still clear size came out, I think. It was size when they the clear size came out. That I wanted to look for a website that I could put on a clear size, and there was a website that had licenses that was saying, oh, I lost the clear size. My kid really enjoys the clear size. He's getting sister. My kid has also clear size. On that website, they have started that. I thought, how the hell do you have a clear size? Then I sized the days until launch that time. So that was so strange. I didn't trust that website.
I decided to order a weekend package, which held 3 pills.
Okay.
It was the cheapest option based on the amount of pills, and I figured it would be worth a shot. As promised, the product arrived the next Friday, with an ample amount of time before the evening would even begin. I got ready for a night out on the town, and swallowed the first pill with half an hour to spare.
Okay.
Of course, I made sure the dosage was fit for my body weight and previous experiences, knowing the real risk of overdoses if I wasn't careful. Then, I left my house, ready to waste another night of my life, and
Waar je tegen drugs gestolen door ouders. Niet langer tijd drugs inside and stay inside.
Darkness. With that, my memories were shattered into a million incomprehensible fragments. Whether I went to a club or just passed out in the street, I didn't know.
I think ik ga zo on the
It
street.
was all beyond hazy, a mesh of colors and sounds that didn't convey any meaning. It has stolen even my most basic cognitive functions. The next thing I remember is waking up on hard, rough wooden floorboards. I was soaked in my own vomit.
Oeh.
The utter confusion of where I was overrode my pain. It was dark, which
Yo,
came
what
as
the
both a
hell?
blessing and a cause for unrest. At least my eyes wouldn't suffer, but it added to the mystery of where I'd awoken. There wasn't much in the room, except for a cupboard.
Maybe somebody threw it. I guess.
Few moldy chairs and a broken fireplace. The windows were partially boarded up and covered by dark curtains. On the floor lay 3 strangers I'd never seen before. 2 men, one significantly older than myself, and the
Oh,
other
wow.
my own age. And a young
Okay.
woman looking slightly older than a teenager.
Okay.
I rolled over to
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. The air comes out unless a ghost 18.
push myself up, groaning as I realized just how much my body hurt. Hey! I tried to call out, but my voice was too hoarse to produce enough volume. Once I was
Just start on
finally
somebody.
able to push myself to my feet, I took a peek out the window. We were in a forest, and the little room we'd woken in looked like a hunting lodge. Whether I'd met these people during a party, or if I'd just stumbled into a drug den, I didn't know. Then the girl started groaning,
Huh?
finally regaining consciousness.
We had a great time last night. Do you remember it? No?
She looked over at me in slight panic, clearly not recognizing who I was. Then she took a glance at her surroundings and shot to her feet in fear. Where am I? Who are you?
I don't
Backed
know.
away from her a bit, giving her enough space to calm down. Hey, calm down. I'm not going to hurt you.
I don't know if it's enough or stupid to say that. Just say, I don't know, maybe because I just wrote to completely knock the hell out.
I'm Wilson. I just woke up here. I was wasted last night. Can't remember what happened.
It wasn't wasted. You were doing, yeah, some drug in you.
She thought about it for a moment, before realizing she couldn't recall anything from the previous night. I was
Okay.
just partying. I don't remember. What's your name? Lisa. All right, Lisa. Do you know where we are? She shook her head. Her
Fuck.
mind was as gone as my own. As we stood there trying to figure out
I think I, wait, what the heck? What? How did it,
what was going on, the oldest man started to wake up.
okay.
He had salt and pepper hair, probably in his early 50s. I bent
He
down to
must
talk to
know.
him, but as he saw me standing above him, he grabbed my throat, rolled over,
Oh, he thinks he's getting
and
kidnapped.
started choking me. What the fuck are you doing in my house? He yelled as he crushed my throat. The girl tried to shove him off, but she was too small compared to the massive man. Luckily, her effort distracted him enough for me to push him to the side, just giving me
What the
enough time
hell?
to touch the air. Stop, I coughed out. I'm not trying to hurt you. The man quickly inspected his surroundings, immediately realizing his mistake. Where am I?
Isn't it? Yo, what the hell happened here? What the hell happened here?
We don't know, I said, still out of breath. Why did you attack me like that?
Because you're scared. What the hell do you think?
I thought I was at home. I
Yeah.
didn't even leave the house yesterday. What the fuck is going on? He took a moment to gather his thoughts, rubbing the heavy sleep out of his eyes. He was a well-built guy for his age, clearly with some
Yeah.
experience in fighting. Lisa went
You
closer,
can tell that.
ready to introduce herself. I'm Lisa,
That is so also.
she said as she reached out her hand.
Oh, okay.
Adam Morrison. Do you guys remember anything?
Nope.
We both shook our heads. The fourth guy was still unconscious,
He's
lying
dead.
face down on the ground.
He's
Adam
dead.
went over to shake him awake,
Damn.
hoping he had some clues as to what had happened the night before. Hey man, wake up, he said as he shook him another time. He still didn't react. Oh boy, that's not good.
He's
He then
dead.
proceeded to turn him over. Lisa and I immediately jumped back in shock as we noticed several bullet holes to his torso. He was dead.
I knew it. I was just kidding. I was just fucking kidding. I was making a joke that he was dead.
And probably had been for quite some time. In
Yeah.
addition, there was a note stuck to his corpse.
You're
Lisa
not.
was speechless. But Adam didn't seem all that horrified.
What the
He just
hell?
took the note off the guy and started reading it aloud.
Okay.
Thank you for your purchase. Let the games begin. On the paper,
That's why it is okay.
I noticed an all too familiar logo. It was the bullseye with a pill in the middle. From the
I
same
told you, the dark light doesn't care if you're alive or dead.
dark website I'd purchased drugs from. What? You know this logo? He asked me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bought some pills from there a few days ago.
Be honest, come on. Tell that man you got some drugs.
I did the
Come
same,
on.
Lisa said.
He
The
also.
man sighed. Guess
You
we're
too.
all in the same boat then. Whoever
Yeah.
these guys are, they're not just drug dealers. What do they mean by games, though? Lisa asked. I'm not
I don't
sure
know.
yet, but he was interrupted by someone knocking on the door. We all jumped back from the sudden noise, but none of us dared open up.
He's looking.
3
He's
knocks were all we
looking.
got before a paper slid in under the door. Adam rushed to pull open the door, but there was no one on the other side. All that lay before us was a dense forest through which someone could easily vanish within a second.
Okay, okay.
We'd basically have to crawl to get through it. He picked the note off the ground and started reading.
Close the door,
Dear
please.
users, thank you for participating in the yearly hunt. You have 24 hours to escape the forest, or you will be eliminated from the game. Hunters have been dispatched to track
Wait. Are you serious in this 24 hours?
you down. Good luck. He handed
I
the
think
letter
so.
to me and I read it over again, just
Okay.
like the previous note.
I was just kind of sure I remember eliminating from the game. I'm just having to discuss to track you down. But is that so? Wait, what? I am serious in this 24 hours? I
It
don't
held
know.
the same logo. What the fuck are we going to do? Lisa asked
Run.
with tears.
Alone.
Adam went from window to window, making sure the rotten blinds and boards were properly covering them up. We're going to get the fuck out of here. But first, you need to get out of the neon yellow top of yours, he said as he pointed to Lisa. What? We need to stay hidden. These bright clothes won't help. He went to the nearby closet and started.
Oh, come on.
Within seconds, he found some old jackets and shoes that were wet and partially broken down over time. Put these on. My clothes were already fairly dark, as were Adam's.
Okay.
He seemed experienced, which gave me a minor glimpse.
What the hell did it do then?
Are you sure about this? Beats staying here and getting slaughtered.
That's
We
true.
didn't need any further convincing. Adam seemed to be the only one with even the faintest idea on what to do. Because of that, we diligently followed him outside, keeping our heads low as we got ready to crawl through the dense forest. It was about midday, and still we couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. Even
Okay.
after a few hours passed, we still didn't see any of the aforementioned hunters. Still, Adam kept telling us to keep quiet, and to only step where he did. Lisa struggled to keep up, as she had replaced her high heels with shoes that were 2 sizes too big for her feet.
But in high heels, you can't walk in a soul with high heels.
Suddenly, Adam stopped dead in his tracks, causing us both to bump into him. He'd noticed something on the ground, a tripwire. It was connected to spikes
Okay, so you are
that
safe.
emerged
Okay.
from the ground it triggered, killing whoever unfortunate enough to walk
But
into
how
the
did
trap.
it. What the hell?
How the hell did you see that?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Let's just
This is another that guy is
say I have
another.
experience with it.
Yeah, I
The
see
day
that.
went on, and my legs were getting to the point of total collapse.
Mhm.
Adam kept looking up at the sky, but the clouds had since fallen away behind a thick layer of dense clouds. Where are we heading? South, I think. I'm not
Alright,
sure.
what is
I was
inside?
exhausted, out of shape, and hungry. Lisa didn't fare much better. She sat down to take a break, which seemed to annoy Adam. No sooner had she stopped moving before we heard a brief whizzing sound, as if a bee had flown by at incredible speed.
It's like good stuff.
What was I
Good
tried to
stuff.
ask. Get down! Adam
Uh-huh.
screamed. Another whiz was heard, followed by a hole produced in the tree behind us. Splinters
Yeah,
exploded from
good.
the hole through the air. Shit, shit, shit! I screamed as I realized someone was shooting at us. Lisa got up to run in panic. Adam called for her to
no.
get down,
Oh,
but it was
no.
too late. Several more bullet holes were created in the scenery around her as she ran, none even close to hitting her. It was almost as if they weren't aiming at her. Instead, they just let her keep running. She didn't get far before running into a trap
Okay. That was just to scare her to run into something. Okay.
hole in the ground. There she fell about 4 feet
Oh.
onto several spikes sticking up from the ground. I didn't dare look down in the hole, but I heard her hopeless screams. We couldn't help her.
Yeah.
Still.
Jeez.
I instinctively wanted to get up and check on her, but Adam held me down. You want to die? He asked.
Lange die, Roy? Lange die, Roy? No, you don't.
Just stay close to me. We need to keep moving.
Okay.
We basically crawled away from the gunshots. But just like with Lisa, none of the bullets even came close to hitting us. It felt
But
more as if they
I-
were hurting us in a certain direction. But I wasn't going to stick around and find out if that was
No,
truly
just
the case.
scare them.
What about Lisa? I asked.
She's
She's
dead.
dead. Keep moving.
Yeah.
We spent minutes crawling before reaching a hill. Once we'd gotten halfway down, the shooting stopped. Adam pulled me to my feet and we kept running downwards. At the end of the slope, we finally found a clearing leading out of the forest. We got out! I almost screamed in victory. But then I noticed something in the tall grass. About a dozen darkly dressed men stood up, each wielding a rifle. They laughed at us as we retreated back into the forest. They didn't even raise their weapons. They just laughed and waved as we kept fleeing. One of them even gestured for us to keep running and held up 5 fingers to signify how much time we had left. We escaped from the open fields back into a forest constantly growing in density. There were no bullets flying by, but we both knew they'd follow us where we went. We needed to get out of the forest, but neither of us knew the way. Then we saw it, a mountain in the distance, only an hour's walk away.
What a mountain.
The closer we got to the mountain, the darker it got. The clouds above were thickening, and the dense
That's a high
treetops
ground.
blocked out every bit of light we could receive. Before long, it would start to rain, a prophecy foretold by the howling wind that accompanied us on our journey. In the dark, I kept stumbling over roots sticking up from the ground. I told Adam to wait, but he couldn't hear me over
Yeah, I just want to say that if he can hear you, they can also hear you. So,
the howling wind.
that's kind of
As I
lucky, I
got back
guess.
to my feet for the 3rd time, he was just gone. I kept wandering on alone,
Oh, no.
calling out for him. Then, I almost fell into
Oh,
a
no.
deep pit dug into the ground. Inside lay several dozen corpses in various stages of decay. Then it hit me that the hunters wanted us to go here. They needed us to see this pit, so we could know what awaited us when we inevitably lost the game.
Jesus.
Adam, I called out. But through the developing storm, he couldn't hear me. I just kept walking, watching as darkness overwhelmed my surroundings. I started to hear twigs breaking around me, something
Okay.
stalking me almost in
Run.
absolute silence.
Run, boy.
Then something caught around my leg, and I came crashing down to the ground. It was
What?
a tripwire, but no trap had been activated.
Okay.
I let out a mild sigh of relief when I heard someone call out for me. I looked to the side to find Adam nailed to a tree by the trap that had been activated.
Jesus Christ.
He'd tripped it before me, causing him to get impaled by metal spikes. He couldn't move. He was too wounded. I found the exit, but I got careless, he groaned. Oh, God, I said as I tried to pull the spikes out from his abdomen. It was a futile task. He was pretty much nailed to the tree. There was a cave in the wall behind me. Adam pointed to it with a trembling finger. Just go, he let out in merely
Go,
a whisper.
guys. Go.
With that, he let out his last breath and drifted off to eternal slumber. Without hesitating, I started running into the cave. Once inside, I had to rely on my other senses to get through. It was pitch black, but the draft produced meant that there had to be an opening on the other side.
Okay.
I felt my way along the walls as I heard footsteps behind me. I just kept going as fast as I could.
Yeah, I
until
just
finally
want to
saw the
say,
light on the other
run.
end of the tunnel. Then I ran
Just
again,
run.
my lungs burning and my legs wobbly. I couldn't see any rain on the other side, but the storm might just be trapped on the other side of the mountain. There were footsteps following behind me, followed by chuckles that echoed through the cave.
What?
I had to keep going. I couldn't give up. Then I finally entered open space again, just in time for my legs to give in. I was out from the mountain, and in front of
Right.
me laying nothing but empty, open fields.
Right.
I tried to crawl,
Does that mean you have one?
but I was too weak. I just turned around and saw 5 men in dark clothing come outside, each
Yeah.
of them with a rifle. One of the men raised his weapon, ready to fire upon me. But one of the
yeah.
others stopped him.
Yeah.
Stop, he said.
That's one.
He found the way out of the forest.
Yeah.
The hunt has ended. They chuckled again before returning into the cave. For them, it had just been a game. A hunt that they'd already gone through 100 times before. I was just a random victim that happened to purchase a drug off their website. It took me another 3 days to traverse the massive landscape and find the nearest town. But the hunters had at least let me live. Once home, I called the police, told them everything that I knew. Of course, the website had been removed
Yeah.
by then, and I couldn't for the life of me find the forest they'd previously chased me through. Officially, no one has gone missing, because the people chosen for the hunt were people who wouldn't be missed, including me.
Jesus. That was one of the most sucked up stories so far. But why, and almost every story in this, they had something to do with drugs. Why only drugs
My
almost?
dad
What the
was
hell?
the greatest man I ever knew. He
Okay.
never shied away from helping others and always offered an ear when people needed to talk. When he was taken away from us at the young age of 41, it destroyed my family. Last week,
Oh, I thought taken away. I don't know why I didn't thought that it had something that. I don't know why I didn't think it was dying. I thought when you say taken away, I thought the prison. I don't know
I
why.
spoke to him again. And now I wish I hadn't.
Listen, look.
I'll be the first
Something goes
to
earlier.
admit, the deep web always scared me. I expected some illegal set of websites for drugs, weapons, and human trafficking. In reality, it's little more than a bunch of obscure forums sprinkled with the occasional leaked email password.
Okay.
Every now and then, you might be lucky enough to find a gold nugget in the stream of useless shit. If you're anything like me, you might even enjoy the futile search. The one time I actually stumbled across something worthwhile, it scarred me for life. It was a page called Mortex, a forum with
Mortex?
thousands of active users, all seeming to
Okay.
search for specific people. Looking for Jack Glover, 1956 to 2003.
Jack
passed from
Glover.
pancreatic cancer.
Well,
The
close,
top
okay.
thread said. It was an odd task, searching for someone that had died so long ago. I presumed they were distant relatives looking for a gravestone. But once I browsed through the comments, it piqued my curiosity. It was odd searching for someone that had died so long ago. I
Okay.
figured they were trying to find a lost family member's grave or something. Another thread read, "Oh my
Oh,
God,
God.
Hannah, I can't believe you found me." At that
What?
moment, I figured it was some sort of roleplay forum. Each thread
Okay.
followed the same formula, someone seeking to speak with lost loved ones. Despite my instinct saying it was all make-believe, I decided to post my own search. Looking for Clark Henderson, 1969 to 2010,
Why?
passed from cardiac arrest. That was the name of my dad. He was the one person I'd give anything to see again after he unexpectedly died from a heart attack.
Okay.
To my surprise, I only had to wait a couple of minutes before someone left a comment. "Henry?" It said, along with a voice chat invitation. My hands shook so much that I could barely navigate the menu. Before long, I was
That's
connected,
fair.
and
That's
an
fair.
all too familiar voice called my name. "Henry? It's really you, isn't it?"
No.
It had to be.
Yeah.
The voice I heard clearly belonged to my dead father.
Let me see your face. Come on. Turn on your camera.
"Dad, how is this?" I stopped, dead in my tracks. "I love you so much, Henry, and I'm sorry for leaving you. I should have gotten my heart checked, but I just didn't know. I felt fine up till the moment I died. It's not your fault, but how do I know this is real? How do I know it's really you?
What the hell?
When you were 3, you attempted to make dinner. You didn't know about the concept of pots and pans, so you just threw the vegetables directly on the stove." He chuckled, cutting the story
Yeah.
short.
Oh, what
"Right,
the
just as
hell?
I'd forgotten about that," I said. "You almost burned the house down," he continued. "I've tried to tell people this story before, but you made me swear an oath of secrecy." I felt myself tearing up just by the sound of his voice. Unfortunately, curiosity overwhelmed my sense of nostalgia. "I have so many
No.
questions, I don't even know where to begin," I said as a thousand.
Okay, this makes me kinda uncomfortable. I don't know why, but this makes me kinda uncomfortable.
Thoughts ran through my mind. Then it hit me. The situation didn't just entail my personal quarrels with life. No, it was so much bigger. I could ask any question about what came after death. After much contemplation, I finally landed on a simple, yet horrifying question. "Dad, where are you?" I asked. "Henry, please."
Everywhere.
He trailed off. "Don't what?" I replied. "They don't like it when you ask. I can't. They'll..." He froze. I should have stopped then and there, but I couldn't. "I just need to know what comes after, please," I said. My dad paused. "Henry, I'm sorry." "Sorry about
What
what?"
the hell?
"Heaven, hell, it's not real. This place, whatever it is, it's not what I thought. We're just spare parts waiting to be." Our voice channel cut out, and my dad's voice vanished. I tried to call him back. I tried to message. I even attempted to make a new thread, but he was just gone. Before I spoke to him, I was never afraid of death. Now that I've heard the fear in the voice of my dead father, I'm terrified.
These stories are so damn weird. I don't know what to think about it. I don't know if I should like it or I don't know. I really don't know what to think about this. I don't know if I like this. I downloaded this video because I thought, oh, it looked interesting. I was okay, interesting. But to be honest, I don't know if I like them because they're so weird and so sad. Okay, that story left that the hunters and the drugs. Okay, that. This one is so weird.
Have you ever made a friend online? One you've never met in real life, but whom you cherish
I
nonetheless?
think. I don't
For
know.
me, that friend was Adam, a random guy I
Adam.
met on a forum on the deep web.
I had something,
Nothing
Alan.
sinister, just a place not categorized by the Google search engine, mostly used to discuss weird conspiracies and places to download movies in a less than legal manner. Adam was a funny person and a genius when it came to pop culture, music, and movies. He'd
Okay.
seen or heard it all, which made it
Hey, what's up, man? How are you today? I'm glad to have lunch. And you? Doing just fine, like always, LOL. So, the lost like I told you? Lost? What movie is that again?
extremely
I don't know.
easy to find new things to watch because he always had something to recommend.
Also, the new season of what? Okay, I'm not going to try that. Then come out. Oh, I think you want to say Stranger Things. Yeah, okay. Come out. How do you watch it? No.
A few years
Okay.
passed, and we spoke almost every day, always using
Okay.
the same messaging service on our favorite dark web forum. I suggested more common sites to him,
Do you want to come out on stage and go like the songs?
but he was adamant that keeping
No,
our
I let him
friendship
out.
purely within the boundaries of that page,
Okay, interesting.
be it for privacy reasons or whatnot.
Okay,
Other than
so.
that, I never noticed anything off about him. We never really delved
Okay.
into more personal areas, but that's not exactly abnormal.
What's your hair color? What's your eye color? How good are you? What's your
We
name?
never really put real life into the mix. In
Okay.
a way, I suppose he was my escape from the stress of real life. That was how it went on until last year, when Adam asked me a very peculiar question that deviated from our usual topics of discussion.
Okay.
What does the sun feel like? He asked. It's hot, I guess, I wrote back, waiting for some kind of punchline. He quickly changed the topic, and
Uh-huh.
I was left confused, but decided
Wait,
not to push
what?
it any further, as
Wait.
I was eager.
Wait, what? Haha. The site we used yesterday is so dumb. I don't know. What the
eager to
hell?
return to our argument about which season of Lost was the best. Then, a couple weeks later, he asked another similar question.
That's
Is
weird.
it really that bright out there? What do you mean? I asked, the previous question still lingering in the back of my mind. Outside, in the movies, it's always so bright and windy. Is it really like that? He continued. I replied, why don't you just look out the window and tell me? I can't, he said. What do you mean?
It's not real. Okay. Okay, I understand what's going on. He's not real. I think it's some kind of ghost or something. I don't know.
I said. He replied,
I think
I've
so.
never been there before. I don't know how to get outside. I couldn't tell whether or not he was joking, but rather than calling him out on the prank, I decided to dig deeper.
This is
I
real.
asked, you've never been outside? Like, for your entire life? Never, he said. I proceeded to ask, what about your parents? Why are they keeping
We're
you
gonna have
locked
balance.
up? He went on to say,
Jesus
I've never
Christ.
seen them. I've been in this room my whole life. Only talking to a voice through a speaker. I wasn't even sure if any of the things I saw in the movies were real, but after speaking to you, I know there's more out there. More than this dry, dark room. Come on, man, you're f***ing with me, right? I asked, a sense of dread rising in my body as the idea of a joke faded. Then he logged off. Months passed, and I attempted to get in contact with Adam to no avail. He'd seemingly
hell?
vanished from the forum, and I started to worry. Then, after being AWOL for 5 months, he sent me one final message. Hey, sorry about our last discussion. Everything is fine, and I was just messing around with the never being outside thing. Let's just forget it ever happened. Please. Before I even got the chance to respond, he logged back off. I kept rereading the last message, and it didn't take long before I realized the message was a literal call for help, based on the first letter of each sentence. It was quite obvious, and I guess he got caught by whoever was holding him captive because I never heard back from him.
But how kan je houden als je don't know where he is? Ilang anger and then only his name, I guess. If that's his real name. That's so
Wherever
weird.
Adam is now, if even he's alive, I hope he can find a way to feel the warmth of the sun like he so desperately wanted.
It's
I just
so
wish
weird.
I could help him.
It's so weird. I don't know. This could mainly. Het is zomaar het could mainly happen still. Well, yeah, quite do. Okay, you know what? I think what I quite doing is going to be the last one because this is so strange. These are so strange. And I lost horror movies and after I lost horror movies and animations that are kind of real and that I don't know, these just are so sad that it's not really fun to watch as it has me. But yeah, we're going to watch this last one. How many are there? Soort thing, this is wait. How the hell has she got 9 and we only are some sort wait, what the hell? That's 1 hour last, what the hell? How can you okay, yeah, so okay, we are going to watch this longer and I want to do something interesting. As we sliding right, I'm gonna do how can I say this? I wanna do as a sliding right a horror live stream. But I'm going to watch some scary horror animation, scary things, scary what's more really scary podcast, I don't know. But yeah, that was one to see that. I wanna do that. I really wanna do that. So we can watch some interesting horror clips, animations or stories. But I also want to see that. Let me know in the comments right down below because one I think the most people are going to watch this after one is uploaded as a video. So when you're watching this as a video, let me know down in the comments below what you want to see. Let me also there's also a link behind to the video so it's easier for me to download the video because you don't get apps and everything because it's just annoying to have to watch videos with apps and then you live stream or that the virus that the video is going to not want to load. So
What the hell are these things? The drugs? Was it
I regret it. I regret the video. I understand. This I don't know.
drugs? It can't be the drugs. Mr. Z always gives me quality stuff. If it's not the drugs, then what the hell is happening? My name is Jake. My life used to be mundane. I did the same thing day after day. Every day went like this. Wake up, go to school, get bullied, and come home. It was a measly existence at best.
Okay.
This all changed in the 11th grade, for better or worse. 2 things happened to me in the 11th grade. Kids started to experiment with drugs, and I discovered the dark web. This was a lethal combination. My first time on the dark web was innocent. My friend came over for a sleepover. He said, "Want to see something crazy?" This piqued my interest. I quickly responded, "Yeah, why not?" My friend grabbed my laptop and downloaded a VPN and the Tor browser. He copied and pasted a link into the browser, and next thing you know, my screen was filled with drugs. I said, "No way this is real, man. So I can just buy anything on this page and it will just get shipped to my house?" My friend said, "Yep, that's exactly how it works. You just need to encrypt your messages to vendors with a key."
To be honest, I just kind of want to quit the video. It's only when I seen I have seen a lot of animation horror Wait, 1 second. Let me repeat that. I have seen other do like horror stories, and I don't know. It says I don't care about drugs. It's only about drugs. I just don't care about it. I
Key, and you're good to go. The next day,
Kinda just
my
wanna
friend
click.
left to go home. I quickly jumped back on my computer and went back to the marketplace. I scrolled through all the possible options. Weed, wax, MDMA, acid. The possibilities were endless. Curious, I bought 1 gram of weed. This
okay.
was also before weed was legalized in my state.
Mhm.
1 week later, I got a small envelope in the mail. I opened the envelope and there was a pillbox. Inside the pillbox was 1 gram of weed. After this
Wow.
success, I quickly logged back onto the dark web to buy more. I logged in and I received a message. It was from the vendor who I bought the weed from. His username was Mr.
Mr.
Z.
Z.
It read,
Hey, oh.
"Hey Jake, I noticed you're a new buyer on the dark web. This is an exciting place full of opportunity. I became a really rich man in this place. You remind me a bit of myself when I was young, outcasted by society, but
How do you know? How do you know that?
eager to make it big and stand out. I've done a bit of
Okay.
research on your area, and it is a gold mine, Jake. How would you like driving to your senior dance in your own Lamborghini? Having
Okay, yeah. That's smart. That's smart. Subscribe is wanna drive your own Lamborghini to your Guam.
any girl of your choice, or maybe even buying your own place. You can be the big man on campus. This can all happen within 1 year's time if you partner with me. I was shocked and didn't know how to reply. Part of me wanted to tell him to screw himself. Another part of me felt entranced by
You're
his
going to
offer.
do it anyway, so.
Imagine
Cut to the chase, you're going to do it anyway.
myself pulling up to prom in a nice car was
That's not going to happen.
intoxicating. Still, I needed more information. I was young, but I wasn't stupid.
They are
I
stupid.
typed back, "You don't even know me. How do I know this isn't all just a scam?" Well, Jake, for
Jesus
starters,
Christ.
you can look at my reviews. I am one of the highest rated vendors on the marketplace. These
Okay.
reviews can be faked as they are secured in blockchain technology. After you purchased from me, I looked into your life. All I had to do was one search with your name in my software, and what I found disturbed me. Anytime someone ever made a social media post with your name, I can see it. My software can even pull from direct messages between people. If your name is in it, I can see it. Let me just tell you, Jake, what I found may disturb you. I quickly typed back, "Just show me."
Dat kan dus uiteraard kan zo te
What he
zeggen.
sent shook me to the core. He sent a series of screenshots.
Do you know the screencast? That's
It was a Facebook conversation between my best friend, Trevor, and a popular girl in my school named Sarah. The conversation was about a month old. Sarah messaged, "Hey Trevor, let's hang out this Friday." Trevor replied, "I can't. I promised Jake we would hang out." Sarah said, "Jake, that
Who?
loser? You can't be serious." Trevor messaged back, "Jake might be a little socially awkward, but he is cool when you get to know him."
okay.
Sarah replied, "Well, the whole school thinks he's a loser. If you want to hang out with me, you are going to have to ditch that nerd. It just looks bad if you are associated with him."
Okay. Okay.
I could feel the rage building inside of me as I read this. My blood was
I
boiling.
couldn't care
I
less, to
felt
be
like
honest.
steam was
I
rising
couldn't
from my
care less.
head. I tried to calm down and take deep breaths. I replied back to the dark web vendor. I messaged him, "This is all photoshopped. None of these conversations you screenshotted are real. You are just trying to play me." He replied,
That's good.
"Well, here's Trevor's Facebook username and password. Feel free to log into his account."
Okay. Okay. You got me there. You fucking got me there.
Read the messages for yourself. I did exactly that. And he was right. All the messages were there, right for me to see. I was horrified. My horror quickly turned to anger, then rage. I wanted revenge. My only
Okay.
option was Mr. Z, the dark web vendor. He could change my life for the better.
So,
I messaged him back. "So now what?" He replied, "Well, I assume you don't have any money. I will fund your initial startup." The partnership was formed. My dark web vendor sent me 1 pound of marijuana in the mail for starters. It came in a normal brown box in a vacuum sealed bag. What was weird is that I never saw a delivery van drop it off. It just showed up at my door. No
I don't
knock,
know.
doorbell. I figured he must have his own delivery system for the larger stuff.
pretty
He
true.
didn't charge me for the first shipment. He told me to
Because I don't have the money.
sell it around school and to wire him half the profit once I sold it.
Okay.
I happily agreed.
So, 50-50.
It was a bit nerve-wracking at first. Carrying weed to school didn't feel good.
What's
After a
that?
couple weeks, selling became easy. It didn't take long before I had consistent business. I didn't even have to bring the weed to school anymore. People would just come directly to my house to buy it. This made it a lot less sketchy for me. My
But
parents
also
were
stupid.
divorced and my mom worked nights, so this was a perfect setup. I sold that first pound of weed in 3 weeks. Since I sold it by the gram, I made a lot of money on the first batch.
Okay.
My vendor suggested I sell it for $15 per gram. I thought
Okay.
this was overpriced, but the quality was so good, people never
Yeah.
complained.
True.
I made $2,000 on that first pound. I quickly became the cool kid at school, just as Mr. Z had predicted. Mr. Z was the nickname of the vendor. He never gave
Only funny as it was for
me
that.
his real name for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
My popularity opened a lot of doors. I got
Right.
access into all of the exclusive parties. What is even better is I never offered my services to Sarah. She tried her hardest to win me over. She even turned me at a party. But I denied her and told her off.
Okay, that's kind of funny. That's kind of
This
funny.
felt really good.
She's going to snitch. She's going to
During
snitch
my
on you.
senior year, I ended up driving a Porsche 911 Turbo S to
Yeah. That's not strange. That's not strange at all.
It was rented, but nobody knew the wiser. I even had the hottest prom date in all of my school. I was
Okay.
on cloud 9.
That you're always going to sell us that code, eventually.
After high school, I had so much money, I didn't know what to do.
Okay, I
Mr.
can't
Z
enough.
told me everything would be fine, that I just had to lay low and hide the money as best as I can. He
Okay.
said when I got to $1 million cash, we would start a legitimate business to launder the money through. Even though I never met Mr. Z, I trusted him with my life.
You're just a person that you don't know on the dark web with your life. Okay. That's interesting. That's really
I
interesting.
was forever in debt to him. He changed my life.
I
My
know.
confidence was through the roof. Mr. Z suggested I enroll in a nearby college to expand our business empire. I
Okay.
did exactly that. I ended up renting a house with cash. I could have bought 5 houses, but that would be too
Why?
suspicious.
But
I
why?
paid
How
for
you want
everything
five
in
houses?
cash, less records that way. My college life started, and let's just say Mr. Z had me sell much more dangerous drugs than just weed. He said the money was much better with these new drugs. And he was
Okay, I understand. Wanneer hoe die als dus dus action only this life thought because nobody knows about Mr. Z. So
Right.
yeah.
The money was better than ever. The girls were better than ever, and the parties were better than ever.
Okay.
As the business continued to grow, my ego and confidence grew tenfold. I stopped being
He is going to say it. He is going to say it. He is going it is not casa anymore. So that's going to be stupid.
careful and started living in excess. I bought a Lamborghini in cash and a few other cars.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid. That's so stupid. As a guy is going to Lunga that doesn't know that he is selling drugs. How do you go that
I
money?
also bought a nice house for myself. Did I tell Mr. Z? Hell no.
Life alone. Don't about
I
this.
would never. But Mr. Z was too smart.
Yeah,
I
but
knew he was
shit.
on to me. Our messages were shorter, and Mr. Z stopped bringing up future business plans.
It's cutting
He
it,
had
cutting
to
it out.
know about my purchases. The answer
But
to my
this is another estimated crisis. Because it's young, right?
question
I
and
guess.
anxiety was answered one fall night. A night that I will never
I
forget.
quit.
A
The
night
fire.
that still haunts my life to this day. I picked up the package like normal. I unwrapped it and began dividing the substance into small batches to sell. I noticed this particular substance had a blue hue to it. All the
The
previous
hell?
orders, the drugs were pure white. This seemed very odd to me.
Yeah.
I quickly messaged Z about the order. He said it was a slightly different batch and that it was
I know what's going to happen. I know it. People are going to die from that drug and it's going to be his fault and then he's done with
fine.
him.
I believed him. Why was there any reason not to?
It's cutting it
There was a
out,
big
man.
fraternity party that particular night.
It's cutting it
I
out.
didn't take the Lamborghini because I thought it would warrant unwanted attention. I just took my BMW.
Yeah.
Pulling up to the
Unwanted
house, I
attention.
couldn't believe my eyes. The house
Yes.
was massive. I couldn't
Well
believe how
done.
big it was. The front had these massive white pillars. I thought this was
Oh.
perfect. A
Sure.
bunch of rich fraternity guys and sorority girls to sell to. The middle of the
Okay.
house was a giant grass courtyard.
Okay.
This is where I spent most of the party selling my product.
Okay.
I couldn't believe how good looking the girls were. But that's beside the point. After selling all my goods, I counted the money.
And I think I sucked
$3,000
to
all
die.
cash. I was about to leave
Damn,
the
good
courtyard
round.
when a frat guy, Chad, came over to me.
Oh, shut.
He said, "Hey man, that's some good stuff.
Alright.
You got some more?" I noticed Chad was jittery and shaking, almost uncontrollably.
Okay,
I
interesting.
asked, "How much did you take?" Chad replied, "I don't know, man. I just need more. I need more." I was getting
That's
a little
it.
weirded out. I tried to think of some excuse to leave Chad, but nothing came to mind. "Chad, you need to calm down and drink some water. Go sit down." Chad
Okay.
angrily said, "No, you don't understand. I need more, or else I'm going to die." I stared into Chad's eyes. He blinked, and I swear I noticed what looked like reptilian eyes. He blinked again, and they were normal. Chad continued to talk. "Man, I just need another hit. I feel like I'm about to change." "What the hell do you mean about to change?" I asked. He said, "It's happening, please. Please help me." I stared into Chad's face. His face was blank. He
Okay.
started to salivate. My heart dropped. I
Yeah,
thought he
super.
must have overdosed. Then something bizarre happened. His eyes turned. They looked reptilian. I glanced around at everyone around me. They were all frozen, salivating with blank.
Okay, yeah. Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to use hand because that's just stupid. Yeah. I don't know. I like horror stories, but this is just so unrealistic. I don't know. I just no. I thought this was going to be so much stronger, but I don't know. Not as strong as I had hoped to be. But yeah, I'm going to leave it right here. As long as you try to know horror stories, let me know down in the comments below, and let me also know what you want to see. But yeah, I'm going to leave it here because that's just, I don't know. I like kind of real stories, but this is just so short-sighted, it's just stupid. But yeah, I'm going to leave it here and see you all tomorrow. Yeah, yeah.